Starting at the front of the magazine, the key content there is the first drives, where we get to test cars before they're even on sale, and so people want to know what they're like, should they consider them when they come to buy their next car. Then it's our consumer advice, where we try and champion causes for our readers and try and create a broad message that everyone can tap into on what to do in certain situations that can go wrong in such a complicated process as buying a car. Then it's the group tests, where we'll put 2, 3 or 4 cars against each other, and we'll do really all the hard work that our readers don't want to, or they just don't have the time or even capability of doing so. We'll test the cars on the same road on the same day against each other, and we can really drill down in the numbers and the handling and all the other experiences and come to a very key verdict in separating which car is better than the other. After that, it's the data at the back of the magazine, really, really critical to get it right and to allow people really to compare what they're buying on a sheet of paper. People really like consuming data in print rather than online. It's so hard to compare online. And so that is really important to our readers, and we've actually added data in recent years because of that. The key decision every day is in the 9:30 news meeting, where we call it a news meeting, but it's actually about what content is going to go online during that day and during the next day. And that's not always just news. We do an awful lot of advice, and that's some of our most popular content. And that's from buying, owning and selling the cars, and that's new and used cars. After that, we send out a newsletter every day. Typically during the week, that's in the evening, and at the weekends, it's pre-written but goes out in the morning. That's an incredibly powerful thing, the newsletter. It goes out to 150,000 people, and we get great engagement from those people. From terms of the magazine, we typically plan 2 or 3 months ahead, and by six weeks before the magazine comes out, pretty much things are frozen in place. We can still adapt, but it's going to be around 10% of the content that we're going to adapt. We're not going to make huge changes at that point. Now, the magazine typically closes for press in the middle of each month. So really, you're looking that by the beginning of each month, we really are setting down in stone what we're going to do. Perhaps up to a week before we close, we can adapt very small things, but it would have to be a really major story for us to do that. So WhatCar is famously quite territorial. We tend to use our own journalists rather than even freelancers, and we tend to set our own agenda. But where we needed help, really, and where we're very open to help, is where people are more expert than we are. That's particularly around the consumer championing side of things. We're not lawyers, we're not legal experts, we're not consumer advice bureaus who really know their stuff. And it's an area where you have to get your facts absolutely right. So like good journalists, we consult, and we have a roster of people we like to consult with. But that roster can always do with more expertise. So I'd really encourage anyone from that side to get involved with us. The other areas we look for partnerships, really, again, is where people can add expertise. We do true MPG testing, where we come up with what we think are more realistic figures for fuel economy. And we partner with an expert firm there because they have the equipment and they have the expertise. Our testers are journalists who are experienced at testing cars. They're not using fuel rigs, they're not putting cars in laboratories to get those fuel figures. So we partner and we get this expertise. And we do that in other areas of the business as well. WhatCar isn't just a website and a magazine. We have big shows, we have the WhatCar Awards, and that is a huge event. And of course, again, we have partners and we work with them to make it a better event.